And good evening, commanders. It's good to be back. My name is Drew Wagar, and I am your host for this special evening of the 40th anniversary of Elite. Bum, bum, bum. Have you missed me? Maybe a little bit. Maybe a little bit. So I am. I'm streaming here from, believe it or not, actually sunny Scotland, which is not something you always say, but there we go. It's a good thing. Now, there is a tradition on my streams, as you know, for me to do the thing that is the thing, which is basically to try and read out all those the people in the chat, but literally that will take me the entire length of the stream because the chat's been going a bit crazy. I have seen many familiar faces out there, and I have seen some new followers as well, first-time chats, which is lovely to see. So welcome one and welcome all to this very special Elite Dangerous stream. So it's tagged Elite Dangerous on Twitch. We will get to Elite Dangerous, of course we will. But to start with, we have got to go through all the other elites, because today, shall I say, the 20th of September 2024 is the 40th, and I repeat, 40th anniversary of Elite. So on the 20th of September 1984, for those of you who were around, and I know there's a few of you out there of similar vintage to me, who were there at the time. Some of you will be going, what, 1984? That's the ancient mists of time. But yes, it was a real date. 40 years ago, that's when this game franchise began. Okay, it was launched on the BBC microcomputer back in 1984. It really is 40 years old. All of the, a lot of the stuff that we play in Elite Dangerous today, many of the ships, much of the lore, all of the story has its origins 40 years ago, my friend. And so I felt it was important for us to celebrate such a big milestone, doesn't it? I mean, 40 years is pretty big for any game franchise. So I wanted to do it justice, and I've had some exposure, shall we say, to Elite over those years. I played it as a kid. I got my first copy of Elite back in 1985 when it came out for the ZX Spectrum. Shout out to any ZX Spectrum owners in the chat, by the way, because honestly, it's the best 8-bit computer, right? She says, starting a flame war with the chat before you get going. So a few bits and pieces just about this evening. What I'm going to do is I am going to do brief playthroughs of all of the elites, all of the official elites. Now, there are some unofficial elites out there, as we all know, but I'm sticking with the official ones. So we will play Elite on the original BBC, because you've never played Elite until you've played it on the original BBC, right? It has to be done. Even though I am a die-hard Spectrum fan, I am going to wrestle with the BBC version of Elite and show you where it all started. I'm going to also play Frontier Elite 2. Briefly, Frontier First Encounters, which is the third one, and then obviously we will rendezvous in Elite Dangerous at the end. Now, the way the Elite Dangerous portion is going to work is that what I want all of you folks to do, if you're up for it, don't feel you have to, but if you're up for it, log into Elite Dangerous in the Drew Wagar private group. The way to do that is, if you haven't already done so, and you should have done, because didn't you read the instructions? Is to send me a friend request, or hopefully already be my friend, and then you can join the Drew Wagar private group. We will rendezvous outside of Lave Station in the full normal Odyssey version of the game. Okay, not the Horizons version, the full normal Odyssey version of the game. Outside of Lave Station, we will proceed from Lave Station in an orderly fashion, or something approaching an orderly fashion, to do a hyperspace jump, which will be timed at 10 p.m. UK time, which I believe is going to be 9 p.m. In-game time. Okay, so that's going to be 2100 by the HUD in your vessel. I would like you all, if possible, to bring Cobra Mark IIIs. And we will attempt to do the biggest ever Cobra Mark III hyperspace jump. Is that a thing? No, it is today. Okay, that's what we're going to attempt to do. I've got some music prepped. I have been doing my MIDI rendition of the Blue Danube theme, which is also linked to Elite, which is one of the things I will explain. And we will attempt to do a mass hyperspace jump from Lave Station to somewhere. I haven't decided yet. Probably one of the original planets. And we will attempt to do that. Now, there's always a wrinkle in these things. Apparently, There are some nefarious types out there who put a bounty on my head. I'm quite pleased with this actually because I've been accused in the past of having an inflated sense of self-importance when it comes to Elite Dangerous. But somebody has put a 1 billion credit bounty on my head. Thanks. We'll see. There might be some other shenanigans tonight. But anyway, whoever that is, hey, what can you do? I'm actually rather pleased to have a 1 billion credit bounty on my head because I think that's quite funny. But so yeah, if it gets disrupted, it gets disrupted. What the intention is to do a mass hyperspace jump from Lave to somewhere. So what I need you to do, commanders, if you're in game, I don't need to do. You need to do anything particular straight away, but rendezvous in the Lave system outside of Lave Station prior to what's going to be 2030 on your HUD. 21:30 UK time. There are other time zones apparently around the world. I know we've got some folks here from all across the world. So actually, just while you're in the chat right now, chuck in where you know, not your specific GPS coordinates or anything like that, but chuck in roughly where you're from, just so we can get a sort of flavour of where you are all across the world. That's nice to see. I know we've got visitors from Australia, the US, all across Europe. I'm in Scotland. So yeah, throw all those things in, and we'll just get a flavour. So that's fantastic to see. Look at all the places. So lots and lots of bits and pieces. So fantastic to see you all. Welcome one and welcome all. I can't single you out by name. I simply don't have the time. But I know some of you are new to the stream tonight. Thank you very much indeed. And we're here to celebrate Elite. And its 40th anniversary. So with no further ado, and I know there's already been quite a lot to do because there always is, because I tend to waffle. You may have to tell me off this evening because we've got lots to get through. We are going to go and start. I'm just going to give you a flavour. Look, I've got a little button here that can show me all 4 games simultaneously. So these are all the elites that we're going to play, and this is all of them at Lave. Apart from, there we go. Apart from Elite Dangerous, which suddenly decided to start working. Russia, we got some people from Russia, even places like Berkshire. I mean, that's quite impressive. North Wales, Germany, all sorts of places across the world. So this is fantastic. This is going to be good. So these are all the elites we're going to play. Okay, top left is the original elite from the BBC. This is 1984. We're going to have Frontier Elite 2. That's top right, which is 1993. Frontier First Encounters, bottom right, which is 1995, and of course Elite Dangerous, which is itself coming up for a 10-year anniversary shortly, later this year, I believe. We'll have to do another stream for that, won't we? And that is 2014. So all the elites are on the screen at the moment. We will go through them one by one. So let's see how that goes. We've got Sweden there. Brum, Norway, fantastic. It's going to go. Are we going to start to try and get to elite in all 4 streams in this? I think that's going to be impossible now. We'll see how we do. We'll see how we do. Right, so let's get on with it. Why are we not getting on with it, Drew? Just get on with it. Right, let's start with the original elite. Now you probably saw in the intro I did for you. I hope you enjoyed the intro. That was a little bit of screen grabs from each of the games, mostly the intro sequences of the games, with the background of David Lowe, his amazing music for Frontier Elite 2, which is very, very famous. And I'll explain who David Lowe is in a bit. He'd given me permission to use the music as the intro to the stream, which I thought was really nice, really nice. So shout out to David Lowe. That theme tune, by the way, is available. If you want to go and buy it, you can get it on LP. That's a big plastic spinny disc, for those of you not sure what an LP is. And you can get it on CD. You can also get it on streaming services from Uncle Art, that's correct. And the album is called A Temporal Shift. And it's got lots and lots of music that David Lowe did for various different computer games from the 90s onwards. So definitely worth checking out if you like that sort of stuff. Right, I've got to clear my inbox of Elite Dangerous already. It's filling up with stuff. So let me just do that, because I don't want for people not to be able to do stuff in the future. So let me just clear that while I'm doing it. There we go. Right, back to Elite. Now it's worth pointing out for those of you who don't know much about the 8-bit days. Now some people on the stream are absolute. Will know a lot more about this than I do. But we're talking about a computer that was designed really at the end of the 1970s. Okay, this is a home computer. As it was in those days. The BBC Micro was actually quite an expensive one. It's mostly a UK specific computer. I don't think it was all that well known outside of the UK. Its contemporary, which will be much more familiar to US watchers of this stream, is the Commodore 64. In many ways, they're quite comparable. The Commodore 64 would have had a better sound chip and certainly a better graphics chip than the BBC, but the BBC was a very UK specific system, and it was a very, very robust machine with a lot of user interface ports and all other bits and pieces. It was a big machine actually by modern standards, and it built around the 6502 processor, which will mean something to a lot of people. It had not a great deal of memory available to it in its original instance, and there were multiple versions of it. We're concerned here with what's called the BBC Model B, and it had a whopping 32 kilobytes, and that is literally 32,000 bytes of memory. That's it. That's all you get. 32,000 bytes, which is not even enough to do an email nowadays. In the early 80s. Now, because of the way 8-bit computers work, you also, the screen, there's no such thing as sort of graphics accelerators or GPUs at this point. The screen is simply part of the memory of the computer. And so the moment you put something on the screen, you start using memory up. So if you need to have a program that outputs things to the screen, you've got less memory for the actual part of the program that does stuff, i.e. keep score or work out what's going on. Now, in the case of the BBC, once you took away the bit of the bit of memory that was actually concerned with the screen, you'd lost another 8K. So you're now down to 24K, and the entirety of the Elite original source code fits in that space. 24,000 bytes, everything, the entire game. Missions, lasers, ships, galaxy simulation, the dashboard, all the information, everything fits in 24K, and it is a remarkable piece of coding. There's places you can go online and go and investigate how it all works. It's all a little bit beyond me, but it's an amazing piece of programming, and then obviously that is down to two gentlemen, one of which you all know very, very well, Mr. David Braben, who is still working, obviously, at Frontier Developments, and another chap, Ian Bell. Now, these two gents met at Cambridge University, and that's where they collaborated on the original Elite. There's lots and lots of technical detail about this game, which I could go into, but there's some videos on YouTube I suggest you search out. There's one particular one that basically called Elite, the game that couldn't be written. And if you want to delve into the absolute ins and outs of why this game is so sophisticated for its time, then I suggest you go and have a look at that video. It's really, really, really good. There's loads and loads of tidbits of information which we could talk about, but we'd never get anything else done. So, and I want to show you what the game actually is like. For those of you who've never seen it, so for Elite Dangerous players, this is literally where it starts. Okay, this user interface is what you basically had. So what can we actually do? Well, okay, so what we actually have in here is we basically have a bunch of keys. So if I hit a key, it's going to give me, in this case, I can see the trading prices of commodities at Lave. So, a basic interface that allows me to buy and sell commodities. I can fill up my Cobra Mark III with some stuff. I start, as you can see here, in Lave. Lave is the place where you start the game in the original Elite. That's why Lave is so specific and important to Elite. That's why we're going to celebrate Lave tonight, because Lave is where it all starts. It starts in the game, it starts in the lore. Lave is the place. And in the pilot's manual, the actual physical paperback manual that came with the original game, it says in the lore that this is where new pilots took their flight exam, and thus every new pilot had to start from Lave. That was the rules. So we've worked out. Michael Brooks told me, bless him, that the original Elite is set in the year 3125. So that is now 175 years before Elite itself is set. So if you want a lore little bit of piece there, then the original Elite is set in the year 3125. We can see a few things that you might recognise. We have a rating, which is currently harmless. That goes up through multiple things to obviously elite ultimately. And we have nothing on the ship but a front pulse laser. Okay, so we have basically a very cheap and cheerful ship, a rubbish gun, and we have 100 credits to start us off with. So that's basically how the game starts. You have an unequipped ship, no stuff, a tiny little bit of money, and that's it. The game doesn't hold your hand. It basically says, go on then, whatever the hell you want to do, you can do. So if we poke around a bit, on the inventory of the ship, we have we have some cash and we have some fuel, but that's it. So I'm going to actually I've just pressed the launch button. That was the wrong thing to do. Okay, so I can demonstrate thing. Gasp at the amazing graphics from 1984. Okay, that's supposed to be the planet Lave. The BBC version has this slightly wacky kind of rolling planet animation, which is none of the other versions of Elite from this era had. But it kind of works. So let's bank the ship over. It's quite sluggish. There's the space station. Now that may look familiar. The basic design of the space station in Elite Dangerous is based on the original version of the game. It's a dodec. Actually, this isn't a dodecahedron. Somebody will tell me exactly what mathematical shape it is because I can't remember. But it's obviously very good. Now I'm going to obviously to go and attempt to dock this. This could go very badly wrong. So because it usually does. Docking actually on Elite is actually probably one of the hardest. Oh, like a pro. One of the hardest things to do. So this is the Coriolis space station, but it does have a a thing. Right, let's not press that button. Let's go through the rest of the UI here. So we have the ability to look up data on the planet. So Lave is a rich agricultural system with a dictatorship. It's a tech level 5, which means we can't buy too much stuff here. It's most famous for its vast rainforest and the Lavian tree grub, which if you look in Elite Dangerous, you may find some stuff about the Lavian tree grub. It's some interesting stories about the Lavian tree grub, but there we go. We can also look at the short-range charts. So these are the systems that are close to us. And you may recognize some of these names. They're still in Elite Dangerous today. We have Deso, we have Listi, we have Zeonce, and we even have Tia Nisla over here, which is an important system in the lore, but hey, that's another story for another day. There aren't any real systems in here, so this version of Elite didn't have any reference to the real galaxy. That was pretty much beyond the capabilities of the machine at the time. It couldn't do that, but it does have an entire galaxy, and if I press this button, there we go, we get the entire galactic chart number 1. So there are, in fact, 8 galactic charts, which was sort of supposedly 8 separate galaxies. I think it makes a bit more sense in the lore if we talk about it being only 8 sectors of the galaxy that you can jump between. But there are 248 stars in each. No, let me get that right. Is it 248 stars in each galaxy, or is it 256 in each galaxy? I can't remember now. But there's a lot. Okay. Far more than there is memory to store. Okay, so there's a very neat trick. It's 256. Thank you, Intermute. I couldn't remember which way around. So it's 8 sets of 256 planets. Okay, and they've all got a description in the game. Now, if you work that out maths-wise, 8 times 256 times by the amount of text that's associated with the planet, you quickly work out that's more than the memory of the computer. So hang on a minute. How does that work when there's actually still a game in here as well? So basically what David Braben and Ian Bill have done is very clever use of procedural generation. That's one of the things that set Elite apart early on, was they managed to use procedural generation to use it pseudo randomly, but with a pre-programmed seed, which always gives you the same result, which allows you to generate a whole bunch of information without actually having to store that information, but you can always generate the same information all the time. So they can give the impression that the game was far, far vaster than the actual confines of the computer it was running on, which was a very, very neat trick back in that time. So what we're going to do is we're going to buy some food, and we're going to try and do a simple run. Okay, let's see how it goes. Right, so that's actually the equipped ship. So I could buy some other stuff, but I haven't got the cash for it, so we're not going to do that. We are going to not sell the cargo. We're going to try and buy some cargo. I'm going to buy 16 tons of food, and I'm going to buy 4 tons of textiles, and we're going to see if we can make a small profit in Elite. okay, in the original version of Elite. So I'm now going to launch, which I need to do, okay, which is, there we go, we can hear the disc whirring away. Off it goes. So there we go. This is Elite. One thing that's very nice about this version of Elite, which we don't have in Elite Dangerous, is we have rear view cameras. How useful is that? You can actually, in this version of Elite, put a gun mounting on here as well, so you can shoot backwards. Why that was banned in the universe of Elite Dangerous, who knows? The same goes for, there's a left view and a right view. Okay, so we can put lasers on all quadrants and shoot at stuff if you've got enough money, right? So yeah, so you've got a rear view camera. I mean, why isn't that tech still available? I want the rear view camera on my system. That's really, really good. So let's stick with the forward view. We are going to go to Leasty, which is a safe system, gives me a small chance of actually surviving the trip. Here we go. We are now going to enter hyperspace. Are you ready? Because the special effects get even better. Here we go. Hyperspace to Leasty in 15-ish seconds. Leasty is dangerous too, so I don't know. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, engage. Look at that. we have successfully hyperspaced. Right, so in order to get to the planet, now let me explain what you're seeing on the HUD, because now Leasty should be, I'm hoping Leasty is supposed to be a sensible world. Let's just check. Yeah, Leasty is a corporate state, which means it's relatively safe. Okay. It's also tech level 11, which means there's more kit for us to buy at the space station. Should we have the money, which we don't, but we could. It's hopefully a relatively safe planet for us to go. Now, let me explain what's on the HUD. So top left to bottom right, FS is front shield. AS is after shield. So you've got two shields on your spaceship in this version of Elite. You've got a front shield and an aft shield, protects the front and back of the ship, right? FU is fuel level. So you can see how much fuel we've got left. CT is cabin temperature. How hot is the inside of the ship? That's important. If you get too near a star, you can fry your ship. LT is laser temperature, so your laser can overheat. AL is altitude above the planet. And if that gets too low, then you die. The funny little icon in the bottom left corner there is a missile. We've got 3 missiles on board. Okay. On the right-hand side, we've got SP, which is speed, how fast we're going. RL and DC are right, left, and dive, climb. So that basically shows what the ship is currently doing in terms of pitching and rolling. And then 1, 2, 3, and 4 are the energy banks that support the ship. So as the shields are drained, or the laser uses up power, you'll see those energy banks drain away. So if I fire the laser, you'll see the laser temperature slowly start to rise, and we're burning energy away from the energy bank. So if I stop firing, the laser temperature will cool down and the energy bank will slowly recharge. Okay, and that's the essence of the HUD. You'll notice the compass there, very, very similar to the one in Elite Dangerous, direct inspiration. And the HUDs there, the center radar console, pretty much the same kind of technology, right? It works in exactly the same way as you would expect. So there's no yaw and pitch in this version of Elite. Okay, so all we have is roll, and you can see the indicators moving there, and we have dive and climb. That's literally all we have. We do not have yaw, which does make flying the ship, especially docking, quite a challenge. Okay, now if I go up to full speed, you'll see that those aren't stars, by the way, floating past, and that's what I like to call space dandruff. Technically, there aren't any stars in the background at all because there's no static backdrop to the game. It's just black. That would be just way too much for an 8-bit computer to animate as well. So the star field is not really stars. There's bits of space debris just going past to give you a sense of motion. Now you'll notice the planet isn't really getting any closer. That's because we're effectively using our sublight engines here. This is very much like Elite Dangerous, when you're not in Super Cruise. Elite doesn't have Super Cruise. Elite has something which, depending on the version of Elite, is either sort of a skip drive or a torus drive. It's a shortcut way of working through the system. So if I press the J key, we will jump towards the planet in stages. There we go. Very exciting. Now that beep is mass lock. Okay, so you probably come across mass lock in Elite. works in a similar way in in Elite Dangerous. It works in a similar way in Elite. Basically, if you are near another ship, or in this case, if you are close to the planet, then you are mass locked and you can't use the jump drive or the tourist drive, whatever we call it anyway. And you get a nice beep. That beep. That's all the UI you get. Okay, so that's the mass lock. At this range, the planet will slowly creep closer. This does look a little bit like the Death Star that we're approaching. Now what we have to do, this is the slightly boring part of the game. What we have to do is we have to get close enough to the planet for our scanners to pick up the space station, which they just have. Notice in the bottom right, there's a little S has appeared. That means we are in system space. And you'll notice the compass is updated as well. In fact, we've just encountered another ship. And you can tell that, A, because you can see it, and B, because the frame rate of the system has gone down by about half. So let's just fly close to another ship. See if I can catch up with it. I've got a feeling that might be, if we're lucky, that's a Cobra Mark III. So can we catch it? It looks like it's outrunning us, actually, so probably not a Cobra Mark III. But what we will notice is how the scanner works. Let me just roll around on that axis and you can see how the scanner works. Okay, so it's exactly the same way Elite Dangerous works today. It gives you a complete 3D spatial orientation of what you're looking at. The compass has locked onto the space station, which is that dot over there. So we now need to fly towards that dot, and I will attempt then to dock with the space there. It's quite nice seeing another ship because in the later stage of the game it wouldn't be a good idea to do it at the moment because we're basically pretty much unarmed. But you can, there's a ship flying directly at me. It takes some evasive maneuvers. I think that might be another Cobra. It is, it's a Cobra Mark III heading straight towards us. There we go, perfect stream. Watch it on the rear view. Boom. You recognise the little shape? It's an iconic ship. It was in the original Elite, so that's nice to see. So actually this is the game sending us just some traffic, which is quite nice. So for an 80s game, right, it gave you the sense that you weren't alone in the universe, right? It gave you that, dare I say the word, immersion, right? That you're a pilot doing your business, but there are other pilots out there doing their business, flying around between systems and so on and so forth. So the sense of gameplay was really, really strong in this game because you felt like you were part of a bigger thing. It wasn't just you, okay? It was, I think that looks like that ship is heading towards the space station. I feel like I should do the Han Solo quote. I think I can get him before he gets there, but actually I can't because he's outrunning us. So whatever that ship is, it's faster than we are. And I don't know where it's going. It's not heading towards the space station now. It's changed course. So we'll let it do its thing. This is a different type of space station. This is the dodecahedral space station. And it's now closing, coming up on us. So the entrance bay, actually we can see the entrance bay there on the front. So I don't want to crash into it. There we go. What I'm going to do is I'm going to fly towards the planet for a moment, shut down the engine, see how we're doing. Let's have a look on the rear view. Not too bad. Let's turn around. Now, again, a lot of you playing this game, looking at this in the year 2024, maybe think, my God, this is so primitive. But you've got to remember that the games that were comparable at the time were things like Space Invaders and Pac-Man, right? The formula behind it, I mean, they're great games, nothing wrong with them, but the formula behind Space Invaders and Pac-Man was simply, try and survive for a few minutes, you have a few lives, get a high score, rinse and repeat, right? That's all those games were. And they were great fun, but this was one of the first games that basically dispense with the idea of a score. Okay, there isn't any score in Elite. All there is cash and reputation. So, and what you can do with that cash. So this is one of the first, if not the first, open world game. Because you can go anywhere you like. You can do anything you like. I can be an honest trader in this game, right? I can go and be a pirate. I can go and just murder people and steal their cargo. Every time you shoot a ship in Elite, it drops cargo and you can pick it up if you've got the right equipment to do so. I can be a bounty hunter just striking down pirates, right? I can do what I want to do. That's the key thing. So you could play somebody with a dodgy moral compass if you wanted. You could be a do-gooder if you wanted to. All of those things. Right, so let's see. It's my second docking today. How well is this going to work? So you can see I'm lined up reasonably well. Here we go. The flickering, by the way, is much worse on modern systems than it was on the original game, because the game was just like, yes, like a boss. 2 dockings on Elite. And there you are, a little thing. Now we're at least I'm quite pleased with that. Yeah, the flickering was far less noticeable on the gaming equipment at the time, because it wasn't LCD monitors, of course. It was phosphor-based screens, okay, which retained the image for a few milliseconds after they'd been fired, so you didn't notice the flickering. Right, so we've now managed to dock. We've managed to do a trip. Let's refill our ship with fuel. There we go. We've now refueled. Let's sell. That's what we've got in the inventory. Let's sell our 16 tons of food, and let's sell our 4 tons of textiles. And see, we've made it. We've made some money. We've made 36 credits. Yeah, that's a really good point, Alan. That some of you will have spotted that there was a little image there of the docking bay. Yeah, a nice little kind of. There was a ship inside there that you sometimes see ships, sometimes you see cargo. Yes, we're rich. We can give up this life of crime. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to splash some money. Let's buy a missile, because why not? Let's have 4 missiles available on the ship. Now, what you'll see down the bottom left corner, you'll notice currently we only have 3 missiles. Right? We're going to buy a missile. We now have 4 missiles. Woo-hoo. It's very exciting. You can't sell them, Andy P. Now, it's a good suggestion. Why don't you sell all the missiles? You can't. You can buy cheaper versions of the same thing, but you can't sell any of your equipment. That's just a limitation of the interface, okay, of Elite Dangerous. Now, just to run through all the other equipment here quickly, because we're already running out of time for this version. Fuel and missiles, obvious. We can buy a large cargo bay. By default, this ship can carry 20 tons. We can push it up to 35 tons, carry a bit more stuff. We can buy extra pulse lasers. That's the laser that we've currently got. Beam lasers are better than pulse lasers, right? We can buy fuel scoops, which allow us to suck in cargo from outside and also refuel in space from the star. So star refueling, it came with Elite. It's not a new thing for Elite Dangerous, right? Energy bomb is a little bit of an OP device. It basically obliterates all other ships in the vicinity. Fortunately, none of the NPC ships have that equipment. Otherwise it would be a very short game. The energy unit allows you to recharge your onboard energy units much faster. Docking computers automate the docking for you. Huzzah! That's usually the first thing that people buy. Galactic hyperspace allows you to jump to a new galaxy, and the military laser is basically arguably the best laser in the game. It overheats rather fast, but it basically kills things within like 3 or 4 shots. And the mining laser is a laser you can use on asteroids, which breaks the asteroids into chunks, which you can then scoop up and sell for a profit. So if you want to go mining, you can do that in Elite. If you want to be a bounty hunter, you can do that in Elite. If you want to be a trader, you can do that in Elite. And if you want to be a pirate, guess what? You can do that in Elite. So all of those design choices came from this game. Okay, that's why Elite is so influential. So many games copied it. For those of you who like things like Grand Theft Auto, the original designers of Grand Theft Auto, the original version, basically said it's Elite, but in a city. That's how they pitched it. So many games, even things like No Man's Sky, can trace their origins back to this game. So it's a really, really significant thing. I'm just going to show you some of the other stuff that goes on. I'm going to commit suicide now by attacking the space station, which is not something I'll be able to destroy with my current thing. But I just want to show you how some of the mechanics work. So the game, again, is pretty sophisticated. I'm going to just turn around here, just fly away from the space station. And show you how good this actually is. So there's the space station. Now I'm going to arm one of my missiles. Not that one. Must be that one. There we are. One of my missiles is now armed. The light has gone red. Okay. And I'm going to fire it. So I can press. There we go. So there goes the missile. A little wireframe missile. And guess what? Some ships come out and attempt to kill me. These are police Vipers. So the game has a sort of crime and punishment system in it. There we are. 2 more Vipers are coming out to attack me, and they will slowly kill me. So I'm going to attempt to engage them, just so I can show you some of the space combat. This will go badly. You never know, I might get one of them. Right, so there's a Viper there. I hope that one's too far away. So let's see how quickly the game can deal out justice to me as a dodgy person. Let's see if I can get him right. There we go. Can I kill any of the cops? This is pretty hard playing this on the keyboard, and not the original keyboard either. Well, that's the space station again. Where did the Viper go? The police haven't killed me yet. Oh, there we go. There's one. Not helped by the frame rate crashing the moment another ship comes on the screen. Take that, you cop. I don't condone this behaviour, by the way. Do this at your own risk. Yes! I'm a murder hobo. I'm surprised they haven't killed me yet. They're usually pretty efficient. See if I can kill all the cops, you never know. Boom! There's the space station again. So I'm now public enemy. I should be public enemy number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 by this point. Oops! Grabbing speed! Okay, there we go. So, it's rather unforgiving. It chucks me back to the start screen. You'll never take me alive! Oh, they didn't! So, I hope that gives you a flavour. There's a lot more to the game than that. There's the piracy angle and the jumping between systems and doing trading and upgrading a ship, but the essence is there. You get it right. And the sound effects were pretty good for the BBC. There were also missions, so the various different. Thanks for reminding me there, Captain Redbeard. In the Elite on the BBC, there were 2 missions. One of which was to do with chasing a constrictor, which was like a super duper ship that you had to deal with and chase it down because it had been stolen. And then there was another one to do with Thargoid plans, which meant you had to chase across the galaxy under attack from the Thargoids. So the Thargoids also started in Elite. Which, and they had those octagonal 8-sided ships as well. Lots and lots of stuff in there. The Spectrum version actually had 5 missions because the Spectrum had a little bit more available memory. They chucked in things like supernovas. So if you've heard of things like, why isn't there a supernova mission in Elite Dangerous? That's because of the Spectrum version of Elite. There was also a cloaking device in the Spectrum version of Elite, which was very, very cool, which meant you could sneak up on things and attack them without them knowing. So that's all good stuff as well. But we must, alas, leave the original Elite behind and move on to the next one. So this was 1984. We're now moving to the year 1993. All the 8-bit computers are basically old hat by this point in time. So this is like 8 years. It's just 9 years later on. And it belongs to the realm of the 16-bit computer. So shout out in the chat who had an Atari ST or a Commodore Amiga, or maybe one of the early PCs as well. So that's the era we're now entering. Okay, and we'll go into that sort of bit. So let's go let's go to Frontier Elite 2. And here we are. So I'm gonna start that now. The beauty of this game, I'm just going to exit it. There we go. The beauty of this game was it actually, that intro sequence that you saw a bit of. The game did it all in engine. Okay. Hopefully you can hear that just starting to play in a minute. It might be a bit quiet. Oh, I might have switched off the music because it's so irritating most of the time. Let me. Yeah, I've switched the music off. Let's try that. Let's see if it'll go. I'm just gonna. Got Elite Dangerous making some funny noises in the background, so let's just put that on pause. Is it playing? I can't hear it, which is a bit strange. Oh no, there it goes, it is playing. So this is the MIDI version of the theme tune. I won't play the whole thing because it'll take ages, but... But the game plays the intro thing. Okay, it's all in engine. So this intro sequence, which was extremely exciting to watch, accompanied by music, it actually sounded best, I think, on either the Commodore Amiga, which had the most sophisticated sound chip of the era, or on a PC equipped with an LAPD, I think it's LAPD sound card, which was kind of the premier onboard synthesizer of the time. So this is not that. But Frontier Elite 2 moved the game on quite a bit. So we've now got computers with up to a megabyte or even more of memory. So we've got a lot more computing space to play with, much faster processors. So the 6502 in the original BBC was clocked, I think I'm right in saying, at 2 megahertz. Somebody will say something about that. I think it was 2 megahertz. By the time this game came out in 1993, computer speed had jumped to sort of 8 to 12 megahertz. So a massive jump in speed, and these were also 16-bit computers, which a lot more memory address space, much faster, much more sophisticated machines, much higher color support, and you can push them even further than that. So the later 16-bit machines were sort of into the 20, 30, 40 megahertz, which doesn't have much to play, but it's a big jump from those early 8-bit computers. And you got this lovely intro sequence, for some reason which has never been adequately explained to me. Space has turned blue. I did ask David, I met David Braben on a number of occasions, and it was in a bar at one point. I asked him, so David, can you explain why space is blue in Frontier Elite 2? And he just sort of looked at me with one of those, don't ask me that question again, please. So I've never really got to the bottom of why space was blue, but it was. So there's lots of interesting things that you can see in the game as we're doing that, but it's big ships. Graphically, of course, there is filled polygons, which is much more impressive, obviously, than the original game. There's all sorts of other bits and pieces going on here as well, which we'll get into. So let's just watch the end of the intro sequence because it's cool, right? Because this is the good guy getting the comeuppance on the two pirates. Filled polygons are tight. They are. There we go. Explosions and stuff. It's very cool, interesting. Unfortunately, in some ways, the gameplay didn't quite line up with the coolness of the intro sequence. Controversial statement, I know, but there we go. Now, this is the start thing. We can basically start in the ROS 154 system. So, or Mars or Lave. You'll notice we have real systems. So this is the first Elite, if you like, that had a sort of real galaxy. So we're going to start in ROS 154 just because that's the default start position in the game and show you what the game looks like. Okay, so the first thing you've got is, in some ways, quite familiar, right? The scanner is the same. Okay, we haven't got the space compass anymore, but we've got sort of HUD buttons that we can press here, which is quite good. We've got a whole bunch of other stuff. We've got altitude, so you'll notice immediately we're on the surface of a planet, so we got planetary landings. And atmospheric planetary landings, something we've kind of got them in Elite, haven't we? But we haven't got clouds. So this version of Elite in 1993 had seamless planetary landings on all sorts of different types of planetary bodies. That planet you can see in the background with the rings isn't just eye candy, right? You can actually go there. You can fly to that planet in real, using the game engine. Everything you see is actually there. Okay, which is very, very impressive for a game like this, of this sort of era. We have an external camera, so we got a rear view camera. We can now look across our ship, slightly old-fashioned looking radar dish on top of the ship, but we can look backwards. We can look externally as well. So we have an external sort of drone cam, which allows us to look around our vessel. We can zoom in. We can actually even see ourselves, kind of, in the cockpit. Okay, there's a rather out of scale undercarriage, and you can actually see the fact there's a missile there. Both of them render from that angle there. You can see the missile slung under the ship. Now, those of you who know your ships will recognise this ship from Elite Dangerous. This is an Eagle starfighter. Okay, it's got the side pods. It's got the two engines on the back. It's an Eagle. It's a rather low-bridge Eagle, but it's an Eagle nonetheless. Okay, it's an Eagle, and we're gonna take a short flight in the sequel, just to give you an idea of how this game works. So everything you can see, the clouds, those are sort of geodesic domes. This planet is not inhabitable on the surface, so it's got an atmosphere, but it's not a human breathable atmosphere. So the cities that you can see are protected by those sort of geodesic domes, where inside there's an atmosphere. You can actually fly in there and no harm comes to your ship, but that's okay. Now let's trog through the user interface. So what have we got? We have got a little bit of information about our ship. How much cargo space we've got. It's got an automatic pilot on board, which is handy. We've got some atmospheric shielding, so we can go to atmospheres. What's our military standing? What's our legal status? We're clean and we've done nothing at all. Unsurprisingly, we're a brand new game. What's in the ship? We've got 1 ton of hydrogen fuel. Great, we can do some stuff with that. What's anything else? And that's about it on that particular list. We do have a galactic scanner. Now, check this out, because this is the core systems. You may have heard me refer to them as the core systems rather than the bubble, because the bubble is the elite dangerous term for this part of space. Core systems is what they were called in these first 2 games. So you'll notice that there are some real stars here. There's Fomalhaut. There is Sol. And Ellipson Iridani is there. Sirius. I am. Captain Star. If we go down here, you'll notice that there are the Imperial systems. Yes, huzzah! Ask in the glory of the Empire. The difficult to pronounce system, but crucially, you'll notice that Akanar is there as well. So the lore around the Federation and the Empire dates from this game. Okay, 1993. So there's a whole bunch of stuff in there as well, and you can have a look at that. You can. This is all now mouse controlled, because mice had been invented by this point in the history of computers. We can roll the scanner down, and we can sort of fly through the map in 3 dimensions, which is pretty cool. And you can see there's our jump radius, and with a nice friendly sign, rather Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, like, saying "you are here," which is jolly friendly. But you have to zoom in quite a lot to be able to see it, because it's a very low res game, as you can see. Oh, gone too far. There you go. You are here in nice friendly letters. For those of you who know your Douglas Adams. But we can also zoom out. And we can zoom out and see the entire galaxy on a 16-bit game from 1993. Check this out. So there we are, 500 light years. If I zoom out, you can see that we can, in fact, explore a procedurally generated version of the galaxy, which is hundreds of thousands of light years across. Okay, it's mad. This entire game. Okay, now the original game fitted in 22K of memory. This game fitted on a single, and I say single, floppy disk. Okay. Now, for those of you who don't even know what a floppy disk is, a floppy disk could store about, in this era, this would have been a double density floppy disk, about 700 kilobytes of data. Okay. So David Braben is using the magic of procedural generation again in order to generate this sort of stuff. You can cross the galaxy. Well, you can't actually due to gameplay limitations, but theoretically you could cross the galaxy in this game, and it does have, we could go and visit the Pleiades. In fact, if we go back to this mode and I go far enough across, the Pleiades do actually exist in the game. I don't know if we'll be able to find them, but trust me, he says, somewhere over here. I don't quite know where they are, or how far, but somewhere over here, the Pleiades do actually we can use this to map them. There we go. We're quite close to the Pleiades there. We need to go back up and left a little bit. Let's just do that. They won't be far away. Let me just demonstrate how. Right, so it'd be slightly left of us now. Left and down. There they go. Recognize those systems commanders? The Pleiades exist in this version of Elite from 1993. You could go there. You could go to these star systems. All right. So that's how impressive the game is. Okay. So the idea of a realistic galaxy that you could go out and explore dates from here. Okay. So it's expanded on the concept, on the scope of the original Elite by saying, let's have a realistic galaxy. What's nice also in with the original game is that the star systems from the original Elite, i.e. things like Lave and TNS and all that, also exist in here. I'm not quite sure where they are. I think they might be down. Are they over here somewhere? I don't think they're that far away from Earth, but I'm not quite sure their exact location. But they are in here as well somewhere, which means you can go to those systems as well, which brings the Elite game slightly awkwardly from a lore perspective, but yeah, that's another story, into Frontier Elite 2, which is really cool. So let's get on with trying to do something. So let us buy something from the shipyard, not the shipyard. Oh, here's the other thing that this game can do. So in the original Elite, Cobra Mark III is all you get, right? All you get. But in this game, you can buy different ships. Okay, so we can go and look at different ships. What's available? There's a Constrictor available. There is a Puma Clipper, nice big chunky ship. Notice it, how much capacity it's got in comparison and stuff. Okay, so you can buy another ship. You can't own multiple ships, unfortunately, but you can swap a ship. Okay, so you don't have to stick with the Cobra Mark III or the Eagle in this case, which you start with. So that's pretty good. You still start with 100 cash. In some versions of the game, you had some very natty, dodgy videos here. We don't talk about those. Don't ever go looking for them, okay? Yeah, it's one of those horrors that lurks somewhere in the depths of YouTube. Don't do that. We can upgrade our ship. There's a whole bunch of quite cool tech we can add onto our ship, similar to the original Elite, but lots more upgrades now available. But what we're going to do is we're going to get a launch request so we can take off. Okay, so we now have clearance granted, seal airlocks, and prepare for launching. I'm going to launch the ship. Are you ready? Okay, let's zoom out a little bit so we can sort of see the launch. So thrusters engaged. Okay, a little bit of a sound effect. Okay, I'm going to pitch the nose of the ship up. And then you can see it's controlled by the mouse. So then I'm going to set the speed. Now, this version of Elite and its sequel, Frontier First Encounters, use a rather novel way of flying the ship. So in the original Elite, it was airplanes in space, right? The ship just turns and flies around like it's a Spitfire or some sort of dogfighting thing. In this version of Elite, it doesn't work like that. But look at the graphics. I mean, they're low res, as we know, but look, we're flying past the geodesic dome now. We can see the buildings below us. We're flying at a very, very low speed. Everything is animated, so if I zoom in and put the undercarriage up, everything works, right? There we go. It's even got little, oops, let's not do that. It's even got little panels. So if I lower the undercarriage again, you'll see little hatches open. So the attention to detail on this is actually quite impressive for its era. Okay. So you'll notice the ship's engines are no longer pulsing. The ship is basically just keeping its orientation. So I'm going to put this into vertical climb and put the engines on again. Now, the way this works is we have well, there's a cloud there, so in fact, let's head to that gas giant that we can see. So watch the forward view. There we go. So we're going to fly through the clouds and get across, get into space. Okay, so we're going relatively. You can see the altitude meter counting up there. If I put on the rear view, everything's mouse controlled. You can see the spaceport down there is now receding behind us. There's the external camera. We can zoom in and out. The thrusters are still on at this point in time. And the altitude is climbing. We are now clear of the clouds, so let's go a little bit faster. Now you'll notice the way it works is, you see here, I set the speed that I want to go to, and the autopilot keeps the engines running until such time. Yeah, let me put the game sound down a little bit for this bit because it's pretty horrible. The onboard computer tries to get the ship to go to the speed that I've set, right? So I've set 28,000 kilometers per hour, and it's accelerating us using the engines until such time as the ship arrives at that speed. So if I want to get over to that gas giant, I need to go a lot faster. So let me set a course across the gas giant, about there. You'll notice there are two reticles now, not just one. So the north, south, east, west reticle is basically saying that's the direction your ship is pointing. That's your attitude vector, to use the technical term. Right, the diagonal one. Oh, there we go. We just left the atmosphere. So there we go. We can see the atmosphere, nice purpley atmosphere. Now receding behind us, and space is now blue once again. The diagonal one is your velocity vector. That is the direction the ship is actually going in. Now that's very important, because let me show you something. At the moment, we're on what we call manual control. I'm going to switch the engines off. I've now switched the engines off. I can now rotate the ship anywhere I like. Okay. Orientation wise, notice that the velocity vector stays in the same place. That's because that's the direction the ship is heading. This implements Newtonian physics, a reasonable facsimile of, to be fair, but it's an attempt totally to implement Newtonian physics. So the ship can be pointing in exactly the opposite direction to which it's flying. So the whole FA off thing that we have in Elite Dangerous, this is actually a thing. So this actually has an attempt to do proper conservation of momentum. Notice my speed hasn't changed. The engines are off. Okay, so the speed isn't changing because I've, and if you're lower down to the planet, then actually you notice a gravitational drag as well. So, right, I'm going to switch it back on. The ship, the engine's thrust to adjust my little rotational vector. So if I try and change course here, you'll notice that there's a lag while the velocity reticle catches up with the attitude indicator, because the ship has to change course itself, right? Which is quite interesting. Okay, and then it figures it out and it's okay. Now, we only need to go much, much faster in order to get to that gas giant. So let's go up to about 30 kilometers per second as a target speed. It's going to take us a while to get there, okay? This game's working in real time. As you can see, there's a clock ticking away on the HUD, right? It's going to take us a long time to get to 31 kilometers per second. Is there a fuel gauge? Yes, there is. So this little green line is the fuel gauge. That's how much fuel there is on the ship. Okay, it's going to take us a long time. Now, this is where something that in law is called the Star Dreamer. Okay, this gauge here allows me to accelerate time from the perspective of the pilot. Okay, so what this does, if I do that, you can now see that time is going past about 5 times fast. I think it's 10 times. It's a 10 times increment per each thing. We're now in clear space, free to navigate. That's basically why the stars are now animating. So we've got space dandruff coming past the ship to give us a sense of motion, but we've also got background, which is presumably supposed to be the Milky Way there. But you'll notice again that we are not really getting any closer to that gas giant at all. Although we are receding now from the planet, which is nice to see. So we can see there, if we go around with the planet behind us, the planet is now slowly receding because time is going forward 10 times faster. Okay, if I speed up time another 10 times, the planet will recede behind us quite nicely. Okay, that's how this game works. It's a single player game. So it's realistically tracking time. Now we can see the gas giant move. Now you'll notice the gas giant appears to be moving across our path very slowly. The reason for that is that in this game, the planets move. Okay, the orbits are calculated and the planets rotate around the sun in a realistic fashion. Okay, so if we look at this screen, we can see the planetary orbits that we're dealing with. We can see our current position. We took off from Merlin, which is there, Scirocco Station to be precise. That's our current position in space. We can see that there's the gas giant and there's another moon called Willow. All right, and we are moving relative to that. I'm going to adjust our course so we don't hit the gas giant, because the gas giant is moving in space as well, so you have to account for that in this game if you're flying manually like we are. Okay, let's speed up time again. And you can see there's the gas giant. Now we're fortunately going to be far enough away from it that this is not going to matter. So we can now see in real time 100 times as fast as normal time, as it were, the planet going past. And it's got little details like there's a black spot there. So some quite sophisticated stuff for this era of game. Now the other thing that's really nice is what we can do at this stage is, and I'm going to show it to you. Let's switch back to normal speed for a moment. If I switch off the engines and I change my attitude vector, so we point at the planet, This is one of my favourite things to do in this game. I'm going to switch the engine back on again now, just for a bit. Okay, to clip towards the planet. Let's just speed it up to that speed there. There we go. We're now doing 31 kilometers per second in that direction. I'm going to now switch the engines off entirely. Okay, the engines are now off. That's where we're heading. Watch what happens as I accelerate time. Notice that as I speed it up, the velocity vector is changing. The reason it's changing is because we are being gravitationally drawn towards the gas giant. In fact, we're not going fast enough to escape its gravitational pull in that orientation. So we will crash if I don't do something about it. So you can do gravitational slingshots around the planets for fun. Because, okay, so this game is incredibly sophisticated. But unfortunately, the combat in this game is there's no way to put it better. It's pants, right? Okay, the trading and the exploration and the general sophistication of the game is absolutely, OP for this era of generation. But unfortunately, the gameplay in terms of combat is not good because Newtonian physics basically means it's jousting in space. You just keep going past the other ship like this, and it's basically who's got the biggest gun, and it's as simple as that. So the moment you get a certain amount of shield power and a certain amount of firepower, you're invincible. It's called space jousting. It was one of those things that when Elite Dangerous was being developed, a lot of people were really concerned. How is the combat going to work? Is it going to be more like the original Elite, which you saw, which was pew pew in space? Or is it going to be Newtonian physics, which is space jousting, which is realistic but not really fun? Okay. And so one of the big things that they did with Elite Dangerous, of course, was to try and blend the fun of the original game. So there is a bit of dogfighting, but to add in some extra elements to make it a bit more sophisticated than obviously the original Elite was. So that's the sort of stuff you can do. Let's do a brief hyperspace jump. So we are going to go the wrong way. Let's just show you how that works. Now, what was interesting about this, let's go to Barnard Star, which is an obvious place to go to. I can just hit this button. Now, check the timeout. It's currently 2 o'clock in the afternoon on the 1st of January, 3200. So this game set in the year 3200. Okay. We are going to do a hyperspace jump. Okay, we get some really natty, rubbishy music. I'm just going to bring the ship to a halt. Yeah, you get some... I'll switch that off again because it's pretty dreadful. Let's just set that to bring the ship to a halt. No, I don't need the keyboard shortcuts. Right, there we go. Let me just... Yes, thanks for the music. That's not nice. Oh, poo. Press the wrong button. Don't press that button! Yeah, the... UI doesn't have any. Are you sure? Let's start the lave system and do it a different way. We'll start with the Cobra Mark III. There we go. Let's try it again because I just want to show you what hyperspace jump looks like. Okay, so this is leaving a space station, yeah, you get a nice little docking motion here, which is quite nice. And some bits and pieces. So there we go. We're now leaving the space station. So interesting enough here, this is Lave Station in the year 3200. You notice there are some noob hammers on the space station. Which is quite cool. There are 4 of them here. There weren't any in the original Elite. There are 2 in Frontier First Encounters, and there are none in Elite Dangerous. So obviously, Lave Station decided to have some noob hammers installed, and then they got rid of them over time for reasons which will never be explained. Let's do the same jump that we did. Let's go to Leasty. Let's hit the hyperspace button. Time passes, right? Let's have a look at the external. So this is the Cobra Mark III now, you can see. Bigger ship. The undercarriage is arranged very differently to how it is in Elite Dangerous. But let's put the undercarriage up because we really should have done that before we did hyperspace. Now you notice there are thrusters on the front of the ship. Ships in this generation of Elite have rear thrusters and front thrusters. They're called retro thrusters, which allow you to speed up and slow down without turning your ship over. And they've got underneath thrusters and all sorts of other stuff that's going on. That thing that you saw in the background is basically your hyperspace exit wormhole. Now that's a pretty cunning thing. And you'll notice it's taken us 3 days in elapsed time in the game to get through the hyperspace. The hyperspace took us 3 days to travel between systems. So in this era of Elite, hyperspace takes a long time. It's not instantaneous like it was in the days of Elite, the original game. It's not instantaneous-ish like it is in Elite Dangerous. It took 3 or 4 days for you to travel through hyperspace. That's just the way it worked. Okay. This thing is your hyperspace exit hole. Now, if you've got the right equipment, you can scan that and find out what is coming through, because these things appear at the destination before the ship emerges. Okay, so if you're a pirate, you can scan that and go, it's a Cobra Mark 3 coming through here in about 2 days' time. You can hang out and ambush it, which is pretty cool. And if a ship leaves a system, you can scan where it's going to. And if you've got a hyperspace drive that's more effective or faster, more powerful than the one in the ship that's just left, you can go to the same destination and effectively overtake it, camp by its exit wormhole, and ambush it when it comes out of hyperspace. So there's lots of quite cool mechanics in this game which allow for fun piracy and things like that. So that's all kind of good stuff. You can see that the Cobra's got some natty little scanners underneath, and 4 missiles are installed in the lower pods and various bits and pieces like that. So that's quite good. Now, to get to the space station, though, this is where the game is very different. So what you do is you find the space station on the map by finding the planet, zooming into the planet, and then hopefully eventually finding the space station. You sometimes have to orientate this orrery. There it is, the George Lucas space station. Click on the autopilot, click on your destination, that's where you want to go, and engage the autopilot, which I haven't got on this ship. I should have bought one before I left. Oops. Let's try that again. I'll tell you what. I've got a game saved earlier to do that. There we go. Nope. I should have a game. Oh, that's in the next game. Tell you what, we'll do that in the next game because it's essentially the same. So let's move, because I'm already over time on that one. Let's move on from Frontier Elite 2 and show you Frontier First Encounters, which is a little bit later. Here's what I saved earlier. So yeah, exactly right. Let me switch you to Frontier First Encounters, which came along in 1995. Bum, bum. Here we go. So we are still at Lave. Now, you'll notice that the game is surprisingly similar. A few things have been moved around, but in general, it's not all that different from Frontier First Encounters on first sight. The UI has been changed. It's much worse, okay? The scanner is really, really small and doesn't work properly. And all the icons have been switched into what is a sort of HUD for a ship. But it's basically change for change's sake, okay? It's quite hard to. One of the nice little touches you do have is if I click on some of the other buttons here, you can see that there's a sort of a space background to things. So that's presumably the background of your ship. But basically, the game is very, very similar. Everything works in quite a similar way. There's a shipyard. In fact, the UI is virtually identical. I can buy a Cobra Mark 1. Yeah, we could do that if we so wish. The other controls around here. So let's just check. Has this ship got? Yes. So I've got a navigation computer on this one, so that's going to work quite well. So this is a decent spec ship. Let's do a hyperspace jump in this, and I'll show you how it goes. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to launch. I'm going to speed up time slightly. You'll notice the graphics are subtly improved, and I do say subtly improved. The reason being that all of these games precede the introduction of discrete graphical processing units. So say all of this is before the era of 3D acceleration cards, as they were originally called, or graphical GPUs, as we'd call them today. And as a result of that, the resolution's low and everything looks a bit blocky. Okay. By 1995, the first generation of these cards were out. So unfortunately, as Frontier First Encounters came out, it was already beginning to look a bit dated by the standards at the time, because things like Tomb Raider had come out as well at this era and were showing what 3D graphics cards could actually do. But this version of Elite doesn't support that. So, and things like Who Remembers Glide and Voodoo 3D, yeah, all that sort of stuff. That was all happening around this mid-90s period time. So you can see in this version of Elite, this is now the year 3250, so 50 years before Elite Dangerous. 2 of the noob hammers have come adrift in space. 2 of them still remain. Which I just think is a nice little thing. UI is very similar. The other change here that's happened in the last 50 years, we've still got the core worlds. There we are. We can see it's -3, -7. I should remember that. Here are the Imperial systems. We do have the core systems, but up here, I think they are, is a new political entity, the Alliance. Huzzah! Who's with the Alliance in Elite Dangerous? Because they now exist. Okay, so the Federation and the Empire have been fighting over things, and the Alliance has formed basically because they're fed up with the constant war between the Empire and the Federation. So the Alliance now exists. It's a thing in this version of Elite, which was another step in the law. Okay. So that's that. And then, so we are currently, where are we? Where actually are we? Oh, here's our, yeah. So we're down near Lave. So let's try and go to Leasty. And we've got to put our undercarriage up and then press the hyperspace button. Okay, so slightly different special effects, but basically it's the Alliance has entered the chat. Welcome to the Alliance. So this is how it works. Okay, so in order to get to the system, I need to, as you saw, what's interesting about this is a really bad user interface because all the HUD messages come up here. Until the HUD messages go away, you can't click any of the buttons on the UI. Nobody tested this version. This version was exceedingly buggy. Okay, it didn't do very well. Let's be kind to it. That's about as kind as I can be to it. It was horrendous. And unlike the previous version, which did come out on the Commodore Amiga and the Atari ST, this one was a PC exclusive. A lot because those computers weren't going to be up to running it because of it, and a lot of it because of the bugs. Okay, so. And I'm struggling to get the UI to even get me to Leasty. I don't know why. Let me try that again. This is why this game is so irritating. It did not do well. There we go. I've got that locked on target. So this is how it works. Okay, so we basically go engines on, and the autopilot flies the ship. Okay, I don't have to do anything at all. Okay, so there isn't any actual gameplay in this bit, unless there's something out there hunting you, which you can do nothing to avoid. Okay, so I have to speed up time, otherwise it's going to take us like 6 billion years to get there. So let's speed up time, and you'll notice that it's a real solar system. We actually hyperspace a long way away from the star. We in this version of it. Oh, now we've got, and we're under attack. So the first thing I've got to do is figure out how to turn off the autopilot. There we go. And actually we've got 3 or 4 ships, and then we've got this ghastly noise, and this is the gameplay. Okay, I can't even, where are they? This is the first thing, is trying to find out where the hell there's an incoming missile. My shields are dead already. I haven't even seen the enemy ships yet. they're still attacking me. At least it's supposed to be a safe system. Oh, there's one there. And then I get this lovely sound effect. And I'm trying to use the mouse to aim the ship. Yeah, I got him. Well, I got him, he got me. There you go. That was space combat in Frontier First Encounters. It was, I mean, sorry guys, it was dreadful, right? One of the reasons the game, it just wasn't accessible to so many players because the space combat was that brutal. And that was in a relatively well-equipped ship. If you just started with the basic ship, you were toast. Okay. And trying to figure out what the hell was going on. The learning curve on this game compared to games at the time was just immense. It really was. It really was tricky. It did have a lot of other cool stuff in it. So it had built on top of Frontier Elite 2 with... One of the criticisms of the Frontier Elite 2 that we were looking at is that it was... once you basically had maxed out your ship, there wasn't anything to do. Okay, you could go off and explore the galaxy, but actually you couldn't go off and explore the galaxy because after a certain number of jumps, your hyperspace system would conk out, and there wasn't anywhere to fix it. If there wasn't any kind of civilization out there, there's no way to fix your hyperspace drive, so you ended up marooned in space, and that was it. That kind of game over. You were dead. There was no AMFU. Like there is in Elite Dangerous to fix things, so you couldn't go exploring for very long because your ship would break down, which was annoying. And so there wasn't anything to do in the game other than just accumulate money. So Frontier First Encounters attempted to fix this by introducing newspapers. So when you are docked, you are able to read newspapers. Okay, so there are multiple newspapers in the game. So, and this is in some ways a bit more sophisticated than Elite Dangerous is. So Elite Dangerous obviously has Galnet, whereas Frontier First Encounters had multiple newspapers written by different factions. So you had the Federal Times, which basically said this is the Federation view on things, random intergalactic gossip that effectively just made stuff up, and then Universal Scientists, which would talk about some of the more interesting discoveries going on in the universe, and then there was an Imperial newspaper, which would basically obviously give you the imperial take on things. And what was quite fun is that as you did things in the game, you occasionally would get into the newspapers, either indirectly, some cad has pinched a statue from the Alpha Centauri system or things like that. And if you did something for the Empire, the Imperial newspaper would say, a great hero of the Empire today managed to vanquish some federal scum and things like that. And then the Federal Times would basically come, some ghastly interloper from the outlying systems has taken down some of our heroic federal pilots, go kill him. And so you'd see, your antics played out in the newspapers. And if you did them correctly, you would, you could progress through the storyline. There was sort of a background thing going on, which you could influence outcomes of events by doing various missions and things like that. The missions are quite good. So you had, if you go onto the bulletin board here, you can see various different missions. So you could do missions for the military. You could do some dodgy smuggling missions. There were assassination missions in here. So, for example, here's one of the chain missions. Invaluable artwork required to be transported to Beta Hydra. Good price paid for safe transit. Okay, this is a dodgy deal. And there were things like you could, in certain systems, you could say, Madam Curie, we need to encourage her to retire. Please apply within, and things like that. So which was an assassination mission. It was really cleverly worded. So you had to read between the lines to find out what kind of mission it was. It wasn't, and in some ways, Elite Dangerous isn't as good at this because it's not nearly as subtle. So in Elite Dangerous, basically assassinate mission, do this, get some stuff. Whereas in Frontier First Encounters, Frontier Elite 2, you had to read between the lines of the missions to find out what the mission was about. So this one, invaluable artwork required to be transported to Beta Hydra, is actually a smuggling job, right? It's illegal, but it doesn't tell you it's illegal until you get into it. So you had to find out some things like that was quite good. So quite sophisticated in its mission systems and various other bits and pieces. And this had the story in it as well. So one of the other things that Frontier Elite 2 didn't have, no sign of the Thargoids. The Thargoids had gone missing entirely. They basically almost entirely didn't exist in Frontier Elite 2. There was one little place that basically had a clue to what happened to the Thargoids. But in Frontier First Encounters, there was an entire Thargoid storyline. Unfortunately, the vast majority of players didn't play it out to its end because unfortunately it was impossible because the game was bugged. So you actually had to hex edit your save files in order to bypass the bugs in order to get to the end of the game. So it was kind of like, It was quite hard. I've actually on my YouTube channel somewhere there was a playthrough of this, and we had to struggle really hard against the game to actually finish it. So there were lots of little things like you could end up in a situation which I in fact did, where you had to assassinate yourself, which was quite amusing. That was quite a good bug, and you could hand yourself in, to which the game actually did have a response, which was thanks. That saves us a lot of time. Game over. But so there was quite a lot of humour in it, which was quite good. So it's Frontier First Encounters is very, very flawed, but it did move the game on. But unfortunately, it didn't do very well in the market. And from 1995 onwards, Elite slowly faded away into oblivion. During the period from 1995 onwards, the elite community, such as it was, because there was, the internet was just sort of starting out. There weren't, where there were a few forums and news groups. Who remembers alt.fan.elite and things like that? A few of you might remember those days in the Usenet groups before the internet kind of proper. And elite was discussed and talked about, and various other bits and pieces. But there was no official elite from 1995 to 2014, so almost 20 years. There was no elite at all. Because David Braben went on to do Frontier. Frontier did a lot of other games, but didn't do Elite. And what became Elite Dangerous was all the way through that time was called Elite Four. Everyone was going, oh, is there going to be an Elite Four? What's it going to be? And it seemed like it was never ever going to happen. What we call the Dark Ages of Elite. There are some very worthy fan-made interpretations of Elite. In that time, probably the most famous is OLITE, OOLITE, which is probably the best fan-made Elite, which allows you to run the original type Elite on modern hardware. So it had decent graphics and various stuff. You can still play that today. It's really, really good. So yeah, kind of Elite the Wilderness years. So for 19 years there was no news. David Braben would occasionally pop up at trade shows and give talks and say, yes, maybe one day we'll do it, but it was one of those vaporware things. Will it ever happen? We just don't think it's ever going to happen. So one thing I just wanted to do before we start assembling in Lave in Elite Dangerous, I just wanted to do a quick thing. I just wanted to I'm going to do this in all the elites. Okay, so I'm going to just load here Elite in Lave for Frontier First Encounters. I'm going to load Elite in Lave in Frontier Elite 2. And I'm going to load Elite, obviously, in Lave in Elite. So here we go. This has never been tried before, as far as I'm aware. I'm going to try and do all 4 games in the same instant. This is a little bit... who remembers the Next Generation episode, the final episodes of the Next Generation, where they have to be in the same place in different time zones? That's effectively what I'm going to try and do. Okay, so let's do this in order. So this is the original Elite. So I'm going to not load a new commander. We are in Lave. Okay, I'm going to launch out of the docking bay. Here we go. And then I'm going to shut the speed down to virtually 0. There's the rear view. I'm going to get the space station a certain distance away. The only problem with the original Elite is I can't stop it from... Actually, no, I can stop it from moving entirely. Some versions you can't. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to leave it there, rotating. Right, let's get to Frontier Elite 2. I'll have to come back to that one in a minute because the emulation doesn't run when you haven't got full screen focus. It hasn't crashed. It's just that's the way the emulation works. Okay, so we're going to launch from here. In Frontier Elite 2, 75 years later, and we're still in the Cobra Mark III. So let's do that, and then we'll set this speed down to. So there we go. There's the Lave Station. Let's try and get that about the same distance, just till it starts rotating. There we go. Right, I set it to 0 there. That one's now running. Right, I'm going to do the same here. Another 50 years on. Do the same thing. Launch request from Lave. You can see the slightly enhanced graphics. So I'm going to try and do Lave Station in all 4 timelines simultaneously. So the 4 eras of Elite here demonstrated at the same time. My poor PC is going to go, what the hell are you doing? But with a bit of luck, fortunately these old games don't take much power. Well, I've gone a little bit too far. Hang on, let me just reverse. One of the things you can do in this game as well is Frontier Elite 2 and Frontier First Encounters, you can reverse in space, which is a really handy thing to be able to do, actually. So if you overshoot something, you can reverse up, which is quite handy, really. There we go. And of course, Elite Dangerous. So let me fly out of Elite Dangerous. I've got a few friend requests there to answer. Let me just do that. 14 pending friend requests. Oh, and the UI has crashed on me. Why is that not moving? It's just getting overloaded. Oh, I've just handed myself to a team. That's good. Now I've got 15 pending, which for some reason I can't get to the friend request button. Oh, I've gone past it. There we go. There we go. Let's add all those in. Hopefully my assailant isn't there. Right, let's see if I can launch out in Elite Dangerous as well, and just very quickly see if we can get all of the elites doing the same thing at the same time. There are a lot of ships here, which is good, or but maybe not so good. So yes, I am in Odyssey. This is Odyssey. I'm put full power to shields. If I can get out of the airlock. So that. Oh, I'm already being shot at, which isn't good. Oops. Oh, that went well. I got assassinated before. I think somebody was camping there. So whoever. Anyway, there we go. 5 minutes of fame to Commander Jan R2D2. Obviously, I think probably deserve that. Oh dear. Fortunately, because I'm camped there. So somebody has just got 1 billion credits. Destroying my ship. Let's redeploy. I might do this in. Was I killed by the station? There was a prize on my head, so somebody's got that. Let's just confirm and redeploy. I'll do for this bit. I think I'm going to just play it in solo mode because I just want to do it before we try and do a hyperspace jump. Now I've got to be assassinated in all the other generations. Somebody was very desperate for that $1 billion amount. They've earned it. Hey, live on stream. That's what happens. I mean, it's Elite Dangerous, right? So the key is the word dangerous. Now, hopefully, I can get back in again. Because now Elite's doing its thing. Let's put that one on. That one's still spinning. There we go. That's good. So I've got the old elites to work. Can I get the new elite to work? Yeah. So I was warned there'd been a price on my head. Oh, the station. Hello, Mr. Jan R2D2. Well, GG. I thought it was inevitable that somebody was going to try it, but there we go. You did manage it. 1 billion. That's half an hour's work. Yeah, that's like. Well, I'm quite pleased I had a bounty of 1 billion on me. So there we go. What's happening now? Of course, Elite Dangerous isn't playing ball. So there we go. Happy memories. I'm 16 again. So I hope you've enjoyed the little tour through of the old elites. If I can get Elite Dangerous to actually work, I've got a feeling I'm going to get an orange sidewinder here. So I don't know. Well, actually, I thought this was interesting. You're quite right, Alan. Is notice that the spin of the space station isn't the same in all the versions of Elite. I might have to relog. Yeah, it looks like it's died a death, hasn't it? Let me kill it and then restart it because it's not happy, is it? Let's try that again. Sometimes it times out a bit faster, but yeah. So the space station rotate. I'd be interested to see which way around Elite Dangerous rotates. Actually, yeah, because somewhere along the line, the rotation of Lave Station has been changed. I haven't noticed that before. That's well spotted. Yeah, well, I mean, what must it be like on board the station? Its rotation change day obviously happened between 3200 and 3250 in the lore. I'm surprised that's not written down, because that must have been a major. Maybe the noob hammers fell off and they had to stop the station to secure it. Or something. Who knows what happened? But yeah, it's a good thing. Why is the rotation different? Right, I'm going to do this in solo play just so I can do it, this bit, and then we'll try to yeah. So if you want to join me in game, attempt to join me in game, it's the Drew Wagar project. We're not playing it open for reasons which have probably become clear. Although obviously some folks have been hanging around in my PG as well, which is kind of inevitable. It's difficult to police these things. I'm just going to launch this in solo mode so nobody can gank me. So I can. So Hopefully, since somebody's claimed the bounty now, maybe with a bit of luck, we won't have so much trouble. Let me see if I can fly my Cobra out. I want to just get this shot for the stream, so we can see Elite Dangerous in all of its glory, in all of its kind of years. Now I'm going to have to do this facing forward in this version of Elite because, of course, for some strange reason, Elite Dangerous doesn't have a rear view camera. Who knows why that is? Right, let's try that. Let's throttle back down to 0. Roll over and see if we've got the space station at about the right distance. Kind of close. I'm going to go a tiny bit further. Just want it inside the borders of the screen, just because. Not too much further. Probably about there, I would say. Right. You can. I say, you're quite right. You can reverse an Odyssey. Yes, I'd forgotten. Right, that'll kind of do. Let's get that lined up. Well, I could use the external cam, but it's too much faffing. Right. Okay. So which way was it rotating? Okay, so rotating the other way again. So that's the thing. But let me just reload the BBC version. So we're a bit close. There we go. Okay, so there we go. I have done it. All versions of Elite outside of Lave Station. So up here in the top left, 3125. This is the 3200. Top right, bottom right is 3250, and bottom left is 30. What year are we in Elite Dangerous? 3309 or 3310? So there we go. So interesting enough, the rotation of Lave Station has changed twice. So basically, I wonder if it's. I wonder if it is. Basically, when the noob hammers fell off, they had to stop the station, and then they decided to spin it round the other way. It's 3310 now, is it? So yeah, so it's interesting little thing. It rotates clockwise from this perspective on the original, anti-clockwise, then clockwise, then anti-clockwise again. So for reasons which probably won't become clear, I'll have to come up with a little more explanation. We are getting close on the original. It looks like it's going to dock. So let's see if it can just dock. Looking very dodge. Oh, scraped the shields, but got away with it. Right, we need to do some organisation. Let's start seeing if we can get this this jump organised. Right, I'm going to shut down the other elites for the time being, just so I've got less stuff cluttering my own HUD. So say farewell to the original elite. Say farewell to Frontier Elite 2 and Frontier First Encounters for the time being. So I hope you enjoyed a little tour of those. I couldn't really do justice to them in much more than half an hour, but let's go back to here. And I'll see it. Let's me. Well, actually, what I need to do. Actually, thinking about it, since I'm undocked, let me. I should just be able to quit out of the game, shouldn't I? And then come back in my private group, and I should be in the right place. So let's see how the instancing will, whether this will work, and whether I get killed again. 2,000 members. It's crazy. So I can log into the private group house. That's what I'm going to try and do. So let's get into that group, and hopefully there'll be a bunch of Cobras and not too many hostile Uber ships hanging around. Right, so here I am. I can see a bunch of ships, which is good news. Let's hope not too many of them hostile. Let me get back in range of the space station, because at least the gankers will get shot by the space station if they attack me. I can see a Cobra there. Almost firing fireworks at me. The fireworks are fine. I don't mind fireworks. Fireworks are good. If you can see me, I had a team invitation. I can see some ships flying around. Let's hang around about there, and if you can see me in the instance, just obviously team up. I can see some friendly players, which is always nice. Let me go. Well, I've got. If I can get it to go across. Where are? I've got Cyber Army. I recognise. Let me go into the team with Cyber Army. That's a good start. Right. So I'm kind of happy to pick up friend requests. I can see Commander Cyber Army. Can see some things now. If you can see the way this works And if you can see me, you're in the right instance, so you don't need to do anything. But can you please send wing invites to other commanders who aren't in the instance? And what they'll do is if they're in your wing, they will jump out and then jump back again, and that will hopefully put them in our instance. And what we'll try and do is get as many people in before the time elapses. That's the question. So I'm going to try and wing in some other people. And if you can see me, if you can see my ship, let me just go to the external view for a moment. I can see Commander Cyber. I can see quite a few ships here already, which is nice to see. If I go to the external camera, I haven't done this for a long time. There we go. How do I pan? I've forgotten how to do this. There we go. So hopefully most people are turning up in Cobra Mark 3s as directed. Let's just back off. Back off. There we go. So lots and lots of Cobras Mark 3. If you can see me, you're in the right instance. If you can't see me and you're here, then please get a wing invite from somebody who is advertising the thing. So if you are in my instance, please wing up with other commanders and invite them in. What you need to do if you get into a wing and you're not in the right instance is you need to hyperspace jump out into supercruise, not hyperspace, sorry, supercruise out, and then supercruise back in again, and attempt to get into the right instance, and we'll hopefully build up a flock of Cobras in that time. So let me see if I can do that. So I'm going to invite a few commanders that I recognise. So Commander Bograt, I certainly know. Can I invite? I can't invite to. Oh, I've got a full list. Okay, so Cyberdami, Aussie, and Techeron are on their way towards me. Again, just keep trying to do that, folks, and hopefully things will wing up as best as possible. We have got approximately 15 minutes to do this and get as many people into the instance as we possibly can. So keep an eye on the chat, please, folks. If you are in my instance and you can already see me, please wing up with people who are advertising on the chat that they need a wing invite. For those of you who get a wing invite in that scenario, low wake out into Supercruise, turn around, come back in, and hopefully the game will drop you into the instance. That's the way this organization kind of works. It's just working around the limitations of Elite Dangerous's instancing, which obviously is not fully server based, it's peer-to-peer. So that's what we're going to try and do. So I've got a space. I'm going to invite somebody in, see if I can get Commander. I can't get I'm just going to try and get people I recognize. Techeron, I think, is already here. I've got a couple of friend requests. Let's add you in. That just gives you a better chance. Commander Aussie's already here. I can see Commander Bograt, which I can't invite to squadron for some reason. I've got the space. I don't understand sometimes how this works, because I've got a space, but I can't invite you to the squadron for some reason. Maybe it's because I'm not in charge of the squadron. But please keep trying to do this. Top Shot's just been added in there and he's on his way in, which is fantastic. We are getting a nice fleet of ship. Now what you can also see is some nice Cobra wireframe graphic skins for some of the ships, so we can have a look at those as we're looking around. Now, just to kind of complete the whole thing in terms of the history lesson that we're doing tonight, Elite Dangerous obviously came out in 2014. It was kickstarted in 2013 or 2012. I think it was the end of 2012. 2013, it was being developed. In 2014, it was released. I think I've got that right. So it's coming up for its 10-year anniversary at the end of this year. So we'll have to do another stream at that point about that. That would be quite cool. But it's continued the legacy of all those games. So a lot of the lore that was in the original Elite, Frontier Elite 2 and Frontier First Encounters has been expanded upon and increased by Elite Dangerous. Lots and lots of stuff. Lots of stuff that didn't exist in the original Elite simply because it couldn't, like generation ships and things like that, have been instantiated by the graphics and the devs in Elite Dangerous, which is an amazing thing to see. There's lots of stuff like that that's been introduced. So if you want to go hunting for the lore, and you can find my lore tour videos on Elite on YouTube if you want to go and pursue those. And as somebody's already said, things like Raxler, which was a mystery alluded to in the original Elite, still haven't been revealed in Elite Dangerous. Maybe one day we'll find out what all that's about. Elite Dangerous really is kind of embraced all of the predecessors. It's not entirely directly related to them, but a lot of stuff has made the transition, which I think we can be very, very grateful for. It's a worthy successor. It's far better sequel than Frontier First Encounters ever was. But I think it's brought in the best parts of Frontier Elite 2 and certainly the original Elite into the modern era and lasted things. It itself is 10 years old. Which is longer than the original Elite lasted, really. So it's quite impressive that it's still going strong and still continues to be developed now. So it's very good. So keep trying to do that. I will try and bring some people in. I'm not, for some reason I'm struggling here as well. You have a friend request. Zulu Romeo is in there. Good. Zulu Romeo, good to see you. Zulu Romeo actually is the commander who first flew to Sagittarius A, the black hole in the center of the galaxy. So a little shout out to Zulu Romeo. Good to see you there, my friend. Let's see if I can get a few other folks into the group as well. Sirius AM. You can see an awful lot of people. It's good to see. I say if you do end up in an instance where you're not with me, I mean that's obviously a shame, but not everybody's going to make it. Sorry about that. It's just that's the way the game works. But you should be able to do your hyperspace jump at the same time as the rest of us. Okay. I will explain how that's going to work. So we're going to need to start rolling in about 9 minutes. I also need to, while we're doing this, I need to figure out where we're going to jump to, and see how that goes. So again, if you can see my ship, which is a Cobra Mark III with a Canadian flag livery, and you're in the right instance, if you can please wing invite anybody in the chat who is requesting a friend or a wing invitation, please do so. See if you can get as many commanders into the instance as possible. That's the way it's going. I'm going to go and look for a planet, a system for us to jump to. I think we should we've been jumping to Listi all the time, so I'm wondering whether or not Listi is we should just go to Listi, because that's where we're going. Let's see where Listi is. It's easy within range of everybody, so that's nice. Which direction is Listi in from Lave? Let's have a look. It's sort of up a little bit. So there it is. We're going to jump to Listi because that's where we've been jumping all evening. So that's where I'm going to go to. We will start a slow roll in that direction in a little bit of time. But for the time being, please keep attempting to get commanders into the right instant. Commander Cyberdime is doing a sterling job here, trying to get people in and out of the wing group that I'm in. I'm going to let him get on with that because he knows what he's doing. First time chat from him, Imposter Sir. He's new at Lay. What do I do? You basically need to send me a friend request, Drew Wagar, DREWWAGAR, and then log into the game in that private group, which you should be a member of at that point. And then we need to play the instancing roulette in order to get you into the game. So there are people, Bouncy and Shabba on the chat. There's various other people. Keep trying to do it. Commander John Baker in there as well. If we can get Big Boo in, that'd be great, because he's a stalwart 1984 Elite player. Glenn is here. Oh, good to see you, Glenn. Quite a few fellow commanders coming in from the original 1984 days, which is great to see as well. Those, by the way, are not weapons going on there. Those are fireworks. Those are all okay. So nice to see. Let's just do external cam for the moment. Let's just see how we're doing out here. We can see a stacked load of Cobras. I'm going to see if I can pan around a little bit. Let's go that way. How do I pan left and right? That's the panning. Okay, that allows me to zoom out a bit. I can see a bunch of other ships about. So yeah, so this is my private group, which is hopefully to be least. There are quite a lot of cobras here, which is excellent to see. People spinning around doing their thing. Um, there we go. I've got the ability. There we go. I can fly around a little bit. That allows me to pan around a bit. Okay, so how am I going to? I can do that. I'm going to have to back away that way, I think. There we go. That's what I want to do. And that gives me the ability to look back at all the ships. Okay, so there's a stack load of cobras out there. So what we're going to do in a little while, we're going to start rolling forward. Again, if you're in my instance, please see if you can get as many ships into the instance as we want. We want to get as many, ideally Cobra Mark 3s, because hopefully you've all brought those ships along to celebrate Elite 40th anniversary. Basically, the process for joining is to send me a friend request. I'll just go back in and check that I'm picking those up. That allows you to be in the private group in the first place. Then you need to log into the private group from the menu of Elite Dangerous. And then you need to, if you're lucky, you'll be in the right instance. If you're not, you need to find somebody who is in the instance, get them to send you a wing invite, low wake out, low wake back in again, and then fingers crossed you will be in the right place. It's a horribly convoluted thing, but that's unfortunately the way Elite works. We are trying to fudge the game into... we are going to be going to Leasty. So if you so this is the next thing. If you are in my instance, and we're down to sort of about 7 minutes before we start rolling. If you are in my instance, please set your hyperspace destination to Leasty. And that's where we're going to be jumping to as part of this jump. Let me see if there's anything I can do. Cyberdome, I probably don't need to be part of your wing anymore since you're in this area. So I'm going to leave that wing, and because we're in the right place, and see if I can invite a few other people in, because I'm seeing some constant requests here, which is all good. Let me see if I can find some of these people, because this UI doesn't really like it. I've seen Nordlaber come up, so can I invite to Squadron? I'm still leaving the team. Hang on, I need to leave the team first, and I'll see who I can invite. Let's try that. Yes, there's a timer to leave the team, isn't there? I've forgotten about that. Right, so I'm out of the team. Right, Commander John Baker, I know him. How do I invite people to the Squadron? That doesn't seem to be working, unless you're already here. Sirius AM. For some reason, my invite to Squadron is readied out. I don't know how to do that. Which is oh no, invite to team. So not a Squadron. I'm looking at the wrong thing. Duh. I haven't played this game for a while. Right, I've just sent you a wing invite, Sirius AM. I'm going to try and get John. Lost him again. Right, there we go, Sirius AM. So you need to jump out and jump back in again. Let me see if I can. I've got Commander. Did have Commander Zulu Romeo. There we are. Try and invite you to team. I'm going to try and invite a few people I do actually recognise on here, but keep trying to do this for other folks as well. Where's Commander John gone? Lost him. Oh, I'm under attack again. Uh-oh, I think I'm being... Oh dear. The Genkers are striking again. Oh, my ship has been destroyed. Doesn't even claim to who it is. Oh dear. Right, we're probably just going to have to go with it, because now I've lost my slot in that instance. I do need to boil. We don't normally have too much problem like this, but obviously it's been a bit of a bigger event than normal. So let me try that again. I've still got my team there, so with a bit of luck, it might launch me back out. Let's see what happens. It didn't say who killed me that time. Let's try that again. Unfortunately, it's very well. The station didn't kill me. Well, at least it shouldn't have killed me. Don't really understand why. Right, I've got some cobras coming into the station. We need to be outside the station. I can see a bunch of people. I think what we'll do because we've got a few nefarious types out there, I'm going to rendezvous with the group that I can see in front of me. And we're going to go, right? Okay. Because Elite Dangerous is unfortunately Elite Dangerous. So again, I think I'm in the same instance, which is good because I can see a lot of commands. Let's just get rolling. I think whoever it is oh, that's a ship scan. So let's attempt to get going. I'm going to go to Leasty again. If you can set your hyperspace destination to Leasty, unfortunately Cobras are paper tigers, aren't they, in terms of things. And this is a mildly engineered ship, but it's obviously not good enough. I'm going to, hopefully if you can see me, if you're in the right instance, we're going to head towards Leasty. Now the way this works is we fly towards Leasty, okay? So if you can see me, form up on my wing. We set our speed to 100 meters per second. There we go, I've got that perfect. And fly directly towards Leasty. So form up on my wing, commanders, if you can see me, because we're almost out of time anyway. Let me see if I can get the external camera working the way I want it to work. So with a bit of luck, what will happen here is if I turn around, I should be able to see all of you. There you go. You're all rocking and rolling. There's the space station coming up as well. So there's my ship. Brilliant. So that works. And there's the space station coming into view as well. So okay, so there's the team. We're here. Now the way the jump works, okay, lock your hyperspace destination onto Leasty. That's where we're going to be jumping to. That should all orientate everybody in the same direction. Okay. What I need you to do is charge. It basically engage your hyperspace jump drive, but do not, I repeat, do not throttle up, okay? Do not throttle up. So engage your hyperspace jump so it's charged. Do not throttle up, okay? Do not throttle up, because if you throttle up, you will jump, and that will be a premature jump, and you don't want that, okay? You don't want a premature hyperspace jump. It's bad news in all possible ways. Okay, so we're going to cruise along like this. Now, when the HUD in your ship, don't worry what's happening on the stream. Don't worry what's happening on the stream. When the HUD in your ship, what you can see on your screen, don't worry about anybody else. When you can see the HUD tick over to exactly 2100 hours to the second, throttle up, okay? You hit the throttle up with a fully charged hyperspace jump drive at exactly 2100 hours. And what will happen is all ships doing the same thing should jump simultaneously. That's the plan. Okay? Is everyone clear? I'll explain it again. Charge your hyperspace drive, but do not throttle up. Set your speed to about 100 meters per second. Okay? And that should keep you in formation with me. Charge a jump drive to Leasty. Do not throttle up. Wait until 2100 on your HUD and then throttle up. Okay, and we should have jump where everybody works in sequence. That's the plan. It's a good plan. It usually works. We'll see how well it goes. Okay, let's just pan around a little bit so I can see all the ships. There we go. And they're setting off fireworks. So my ship there in the lead, loads and loads of other Cobra Mark IIIs in pursuit. So it's only appropriate then, my friends, that we have the right sort of music. So something that goes along with Elite is a particular piece of music which actually was made famous by the film 2001, where a spaceship was docking. So I'm going to play that, my own version of it, while we do our little tour. But watch the HUD. 2100 hours. Have your hyperspace drive charged and then throttle up. Are you ready? Here we go. This theme tune was actually played during the docking in the later versions of Elite, not the original one, except on the Commodore 64, which was the first time it appeared in the universe of Elite Dangerous. So here's to Elite, here's to Frontier Elite 2, here's to Frontier First Encounters, and of course, Elite Dangerous. Happy 40th. Oh, come on. We should be exactly 4 minutes away from the jump now. Lots of ships there sporting the Frontier Expo ship skin. I can also see the wireframe ones. Lots of other colours in there as well. Good to see all the differences. So when the ships jump, I will pan around to catch them as they go. And celebrating 40 years since 1984, the original Elite came out. Frontier Elite 2 in 1993, Frontier First Encounters in 1995, and Elite Dangerous in 2014. A fitting way, I think, to celebrate a game that's been with me throughout my entire life, and many of you as well, I'm sure, will have hugely fond memories of not wasting's the wrong word, playing this game and many of its previous incarnations so many times over all of those years, and just getting lost in space exploration, obviously a bit of pew pew and so on and so forth. It's been with us all our lives. It's a big deal for many of us. So a game that's been around for 40 years had a big influence on many lives. It's created an Elite community. There's been events, lots of charity stuff, huge amounts of things that have happened because of this game. Many commanders have, as well, sadly, come and gone in that time. So we remember, particularly people like Michael Brooks, who was a big person behind Elite. Sadly, passed away last year, and just remember all the, so we say, fallen commanders that have gone before us as well. So a game that spanned many generations, many young players now getting into it who didn't know about the original games, but you're joining a long history of a very venerable computer game that has its roots back 40 million years ago. So we're down to the last couple of minutes now, so we shall be throttling up very shortly. Again, check your hyperspace drive is charged, but you're not throttling up until the last minute. We have got a few lasers going on in the background. I'm hoping those are celebratory lasers. Somebody has just throttled up too early. Don't do that. Don't throttle up too early. So to watch those sort of things. So yeah, all quite good. That's somebody got around. Try and fly nicely, folks, because don't want to lose out right at the last minute. But good to see so many people celebrating. I don't know how many ships are in this instance. I can't. There's at least 40 in this instance, so which is good. We are coming up to the point now. 1 minute for the countdown. Okay, we should see all the ships charge and jump out very shortly. You can see Lave Station there now receding in the background against the backdrop of the Milky Way. Whilst the Blue Danube plays us out. It could be NPC pirates. Every so often NPCs have tried to ruin the game for us as well, but hey, that's one of those things. Right, 30 seconds, here we go. The countdown is commencing. See a few anacondas patrolling around the edge. We're down to 20 seconds now. There we go. Slightly earlier than my thing. We can see all the ships going past. There they go. Multiple space jumping out. Everybody heading for Leasty, just as... There we go. Fantastic. Well done, commanders. Still such a lovely effect as we all jump out. There's a few H-stranglers. I ought to jump out myself. Make sure I can get going as well. There we go. Fantastic. There's just my lone ship left at the very lonely Lave space station. But well done. That was really good. I'm going to jump out now myself as the last ship's just receded to the distance. Here we go. My own hyperspace jump. Now charging. The music just plays us out gently. The view down was always very nice like that. Isn't it? I didn't follow my instructions. No, I didn't have my own hyperspace jump charge. Well, there's a lot to keep track of. You know, there's a lot to keep track of. Let's not crash into the star. There we go. A final shot of my own Cobra. Why not? Eh? Receding into space, as it were. Thank you very much, everybody. I hope you have enjoyed a fairly whistle-stop tour of all of the elites, from the original Elite of 84 to Frontier Elite 2 of 1993, Frontier First Encounters of 1995, and of course, how can we possibly miss it, Elite Dangerous from 2014. Thank you to all the commanders who turned up in the chats. Thank you to all the first-time chatterers who arrived here for the first time. I hope you enjoyed yourself. And thank you to all my Discord community who managed various things for me over the years, particularly the admins on the Discord. Really appreciate that. Thank you to all the people who are struggling to get people into the right instance. And even thank you to the gankers, because, you know, hey, it's Elite Dangerous, right? I've been killed twice on stream. I'm no stranger to that either. But there we go. Adds a bit of spice. But we all had some good fun, hopefully. And somebody out there just got 1 billion credits for killing me live on stream, so they can vicariously watch it again once more. I will certainly be back for an Elite Dangerous stream to celebrate the 10th anniversary of Elite Dangerous. I am looking, now that I've managed to get this working in my new location, to doing some tentative streaming again. So stay tuned. If you want to know a little bit more, please join my Discord, and you can find out when I'm going to be streaming again. And we should hopefully see a little bit more Elite Dangerous, and maybe some of the other cool space games around as well in the near future. I'm working on a new schedule of streaming as well. So we'll see how all those sort of things go. But for now, it's time for me to depart. Thank you ever so much to everybody who's been on stream. It's been a fantastic blast. Even for me, going back and trying all of these old games again to get that shot of all the space stations rotating in different directions. As we discovered, and just doing a little bit of retro nostalgia for the 40 years here. So I hope I have done it proud and celebrated a good anniversary of 40 years of Elite. And well, here's for another 40 years. Whether many of us will be around, well, some of us will be around in another 40 years. I'm not sure any of us older folks are going to manage it. I might just make it. Let's see how it goes. But until then, and until the next stream, thank you ever so much. Right on, Commanders. 07, of course. I'll see you out there in the black. Be good, live long and prosper, all those kind of things, and I will see you soon. Take care, folks. Bye now, and take it easy.